What is up, guys? I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host Heather C. So Smothered Season 4, Episode 6 is aired. This is part 2 of this podcast. So I want to talk about Francia and Paula. So it was ladies' night with their Colombian girls, and they were doing salsa lessons, which is amazing. I can't do that, so congrats to them for doing that. And the conversation got a little intense because the phone rang, and it's Alejandra, and this situation has really taken a really deep mental toll on Francia. She wants to bring her back so bad. And this situation is a little different because it's not just an adoption, it's also a visa process as well. So this is taking forever, and she just wants to make this process go along faster. So after having a very emotional conversation with Alejandra, she has decided she is going to Colombia to help move this process along. And everyone at the party seemed very okay and happy with that, but one person. Paula feels that this is extra and she should just wait until the process plays its part and then she can go and bring her back. But Francia feels that the process is probably moving slower because there's no one physically there calling and visiting the office and asking them what's taking so long. So I am worried because Francia said that if Paula's actions and behavior towards Alejandra and the jealousy continue, she would ask her to leave the house. Now, I don't know how that would even go about because they're so close. And Paula barely functions without her mother. Like if her mother doesn't answer the phone or she doesn't know where her mother is, she literally goes and finds her. So the idea of them not living together, not being together, I can't even fathom. So the idea that Francia brought it up is crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she might be bluff on it, just because like a scare tactic. Because I can't imagine her wanting to hurt her daughter like that because they are so close. But what is happening is exactly what I thought was going to happen when we found out about Alejandra coming to stay there. The way that Paula is with her mom, she has the only child syndrome where she didn't have to share her, she got all the time and attention, she basically was number one in her mom's eyes. So it's like the thought of her even having to share her mom probably like makes her jealous. I don't want to say freaks her out because obviously that's her mom by blood. She's never going to change, but I think that it makes her jealous. So we had talked about this on one of the other podcasts where I had told you that I was kind of like that with my mom, where I was kind of like, I wasn't as bad as she was, but like, I had the jealousy factor. Like if my mom spent too much time with like another kid or talking to another kid, like my mom did hair and she had clients, and even something as stupid as them coming over, I got jealous because she was giving her time. And it's like, I knew that was my mom, and I knew that, she didn't want anything to do with that child other than as a client. But I looked at it as that's my mom, but I was also a child. So, but I mean, if that's how you grow up and that's all it's kind of hard to shake bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, in my personal opinion, just by how this season is going, that I don't want to say if we know for a fact that when Alejandro gets here, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good unless something is done. Because even if she has a heart to heart with her mom, and even if she tells her feelings, her jealousy is going to get the best of her. And she's either going to be really rude to her cousin, not intentionally, but she's going to be really rude to her because she doesn't want her there. Or her and her mom's relationship's going to be sacrificed a lot.
This is the only mother-daughter duo where it's like reverse Smothered. Did you notice that? Like, Francia wants her independence and definitely wants space from Paula, and Paula is doing the smothering. It's like the only mother-daughter duo in this situation. So I really hope that they're able to work this out. And like Francia said, Alejandra's a child. She's a daughter. She's a child. She needs a mother, and she needs that family, and she needs a support system because she's going to be coming to California from Colombia, no friends. And Paula is definitely going to need to be there to help her and to show her support. And I really hope she's able to give her that support. So let's talk about the aftermath of the pool incident. So we watched 2 weeks ago, Sherry pushed Dawn into the pool, sunglasses on, this was crazy. Jared's reaction was sheer terror. Like, he laughed, but he was just mortified. And Cher was even more mortified at the idea that their parents are fighting in front of the realtor. And the whole situation is just unimaginable, because now that they're all living in Florida, the common goal is to get everyone together more. So for holidays, and increase the likelihood that their family will be close. And this did the absolute opposite. And then after that, they have to ride home in the car together, which made it even more awkward. And Jared said, you know what? Everybody stop talking. We are riding home in silence. There's no more craziness happening in this car. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that Dawn is going to be able to forgive Sherry? Because when Sherry talked about what happened, she didn't really sound sorry. She sounded as though she did what she had to do. And she was actually saying, I'm glad that I stood up to her. So how do you feel that this is going to play out?
I think that Sherry handled it in a very poor situation. I didn't like the fact that she was like kind of proud of herself for, what she had did. I don't want to be like such one-sided, but I really am going to have to take Dawn's side on this. Like, when I heard her interview and she said, I'm not overbearing, I just want the best for my child. She's like, it doesn't make sense to come out of pocket all this money when you're trying to figure out where you want to live. And in the end, both of the moms kind of have the selfishness to them, because Sherry wants to have Jared and Cher and Belle there, because why wouldn't she? That's grandma, that's mom, she wants to see her family. But then Dawn wants them to move closer to her, so that way she can have them all the time. So both of them are kind of like thinking of themselves first. Yeah. But I did, in her own way, she is saying that it just makes more sense. Like, don't dive in, because then you'll have to try to sell the place, and then you'll have to do all this. And it's like, just rent. And I don't see what's wrong with that. Maybe her words didn't say it the way that they wanted it to, but I think that there's a time and a place for everything. And I don't like the way that they got into it. It was very like unprofessional. It had to be very embarrassing for Cher and Jared, because they're trying to like do business with this realtor, and then their like moms are like cat fighting and stuff. And it's just, that like Dawn, she had to like sit soaking wet in the car. And like she said, it was awkward. She had to ride home with a person who threw her in a pool. So I don't know. This whole situation is crazy. I think that they should have took a break from each other. And like I say, every week on every podcast I ever do with you, people need to stop speaking so quickly with their emotions. They need to give themselves time to heal, because when you act out of emotions, then you're not portraying yourself the right way. You're acting on impulse. And they could have sat down and they could have talked it out and said, Dawn, this is my feelings. And then Dawn could have said, well, Sherry, this is my feelings. And then at the end, if they still agree to disagree, then maybe Cher and Jared could step in and say, look, why don't we try to find somewhere in the middle, or whatever, or traveling 4 hours is easier than getting on a plane every time you wanted to see me when I'm in New York. There's so many different case scenarios, but it wasn't done properly. And they always say, lesson learned in life. Now they know.
I think Cher said it best. She was like, they invited themselves to this trip with us and they've ruined it. Like she said, yeah. We even asked them to go. They jumped in the car, they invited themselves, and now we're mortified leaving this house, completely embarrassed and we still don't know if they're going to buy, rent. We have no idea. They couldn't even have those conversations because of what happened. They have no idea what they're doing still to this point. So we have to keep watching and see. And I'm hoping that the tension will eventually dissipate. They can be able to repair their relationship, because everyone living in Florida means holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter. Everyone should be together. And I hope that this doesn't drive a wedge in their family.
I feel like there's a lot of strong feelings, like, towards each other, and this is something that they really need to figure out, because obviously Cher and Jared have been together for a very long time, and they have Belle, so they're not going anywhere. They're together. And I would hate, and especially with Cher being so close to Dawn, I would hate to see Sherry feel so ill will towards her when you know Dawn isn't going anywhere. They're a package deal. So I think that her best bet would be to be calm and try to approach the situation again and tell Dawn how she feels one-on-one with her words, not her actions. So that way they can figure stuff out the appropriate way and come to some type of deal or agreement. Because I don't think that was very fair to do that to her, even if you were upset. Like, that was kind of like an assault type of thing. And I don't think that that was right to do that. If somebody threw my mom in the pool, we would have a problem. So I don't know. I think that Cher handled the situation very well. You know, you could tell she was upset. Her face said it all. But she kept her composure and she didn't say anything to either person. And that was what they should have did. Kept their feelings to themselves until they calmed down and then talked about it. So you can learn stuff from your children. You really can. They always say you learn from the parents, but you can also learn from the kids. So, but I don't know. I'm excited to watch the next episode and see what happens from this.
I'm excited too. And I want to bring up Sharon Dunn announced last night that their podcast is coming back next week. So if you guys are watching season 1 of that, season 2 is premiering next Tuesday. And I'm definitely supporting them because they're super supportive of us. All right, guys, I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Heather C. This has been the Smothered Podcast, season 4, episode number 6, part 2. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you all really soon.